And so these males, like zombies, fall into this same trap of actually promoting white women as superior, promoting white companies as superior, promoting white neighborhoods. They're moving to a white neighborhood, white schools. You had civil rights people that sent their children to white schools so that they could get a better education. That was the civil rights people, which many still refuse to admit today, promoting whites as superior and blacks as inferior and unable, even themselves, unable to fix black schools and unable to fight for black tax dollars so that black schools could be the best that black schools were intended by blacks to be. So, in the discussion, the black male actually got kind of quiet because this was a hard thing for him to admit that he actually promotes whites as superior. And when the discussions first started at the beginning of the week, it's not about white or black. But clearly, for you, it is about white or black because you prefer white, which is dysfunctional in itself because you will never fit in to that world because you will always be the token Negro in any situation that you're in. You will always have to laugh when something is said that you know is, derogatory to yourself and your people because you don't want to make waves. That in itself is dysfunctional. So the fact that he was able to admit that he did not find black women interesting or attractive compared to the way that he found white women was definitely an eye-opener for him because while people may accuse him of that, he had never gotten to any kind of a point before where he was willing to consider that himself, that is, maybe the case. So it was a good discussion. And so we were able to get into, if you're going to talk about restoring honor to America, restoring this continent back to a time when it had honor, back to a time before whites got here, what would that entail? You now have black males, black females, black children infected with a virus, if you will, a mental virus that says that white people are better and black people are worse. So how do you restore honor back to a black society that has gotten that far in their dysfunction? They started talking about, okay, well, that would be very difficult because it's just such a big problem. Well, it didn't become a big problem overnight, and of course it would not be solved overnight. But if you are speaking of restoring honor to America, to this continent, then you are actually talking about rolling up your sleeves and getting started on reversing that dysfunction. And so, they were able to at least, start thinking about ways that they themselves could restore honor in their own thinking. And even though he is, everybody kind of jumped on him as being the worst of the offenders, at least in that discussion group. Others admit that they, too, have had their moments of unconsciously thinking that the white man's ice was colder. And so, especially when it comes to buying black, a person talked about how hard it was, how difficult it was for her to buy black because black products are inferior. Well, if that's the case, then you would have to be able to let me know how that you have, what percentage of black products you have tried, and that's giving you this notion that 100% or 90% or 80% of black products are inferior to white products. And I asked her if a white person found product after product after product made by white people that was inferior or not up to expectations, does she think that whites would suddenly start saying, well, I'm only buying from black people now because white people's products are inferior? And she was like, no, they would never say that. Well, then why do black people say it? Therein lets you know how deep the dysfunction is. You would not have a white Asian saying that because they found, they done found over their lifetime, 60 products made by Asians that were inferior, that they're no longer going to buy products from white Asians. They're only going to buy products from white Hispanics because white Hispanic products are superior. And so they started actually understanding exactly what I was getting at as far as the task of restoring not just honor, but sensibility and pride in order to restore honor to this continent, to the original black people, descendants, to the descendants of slaves, to the descendants of Africans, to the descendants of islanders, to the descendants of this black world. You would have to understand that 200, actually 2009 ended the 201 generation of black people under a demonic domination. So if you know that 201 generations is what it took to get to this point you see now, what are you doing for the next 10 generations to change things? What are you doing about right now that will change things for the next 25 generations? And, of course, for the next 50, 100, and 200 generations. Black people don't tend to think that far because there's so much to think about right now. So this was really a breakthrough day as far as restoring honor to America, the America when it had honor, that honor before whites came and killed up the honor of the people, the original people living here. So I ended the discussion by letting them know that we will be having another discussion tomorrow, and I gave them a little something to marinate on. And so tomorrow we're going to talk about how honor and goes along with the almighty dollar. And, of course, black people give up their honor for money. Rappers, the corporate blacks, whatever, give up their honor immediately when it comes to money on too large a scale. Not all black people, but on too large a scale. So that I had them kind of let that marinate on them for tonight, and we're going to be having that discussion tomorrow morning. So the same thing for you. Marinate on that. What amount of honor did black entertainers give up for money? And tomorrow's show, we're going to talk about it. Until then, you know that you can always go to BAC Berry and read the poems and see what's going on in the black community. But you can go to Facebook. But until then, we will talk to you tomorrow. All power to the people.